not sports, but I do weekend anchoring.
Oh, okay.
Weekend mornings. So, of course, I was like, hey.
Yeah. Oh my God, all the time.
Worst schedule ever.
Lance, are we good?
We're live everywhere.
Oh, information I could have known like 30 seconds ago.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Thank you. Welcome back. The way television works is there are a series of these like small affiliates all across the country. So whatever city you're living in, if you turn on the news, you're watching your local news. Whatever happens in your town, your market, your city, you drive 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is, you're in a different market. The markets are based on, they're numerically based on the size of how big everything is. So for example, and the numbers might have differed some from when I was working.
Let's hear.
I started in Binghamton, New York, which was like 175.
Okay, I have a friend who's there now, morning anchor.
Okay, perfect. Then I was in Rochester, and I think I jumped to like 75
Sure.
into Rochester.
Yeah.
Then from Rochester, I went to Philly, which is like 4.
Yeah.
Then from Philly, I went to New York, but I did the All Sports Network there, so it is 1, but it's like on the outskirts. And then I came to WABC, which is number 1, and then I went to the market.
Bam.
Or rather, the network. So that's what the affiliate's like. So Megan Mitchell used to work at which affiliate in North Dakota?
I was the NBC affiliate. I've always been NBC affiliate.
Okay, welcome to the family.
Thank you so much. And then I interned here in New York before all of this took place. But 139, not to confuse you with all these numbers. I feel like we're throwing a bunch
so
of
130, it's after 200
210,
or 210, whatever it is. So 210 is the smallest market, and number 1 is the biggest.
Yep. So I did Monday through Friday anchoring mornings.
North Dakota
And Bismarck. That was 139. Now I was pretty happy about this jump. I'm in 36.
It's amazing.
So I'm like, loving life.
So you are a reporter, weekend anchor?
Yeah.
At the NBC affiliate in Cincinnati.
NBC affiliate in Cincinnati.
So if anyone's in Cincinnati or anywhere around
is that WKRP?
Cincinnati.
I've
heard that too many times.
Is it? No, that's
It's WLWT.
in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
You'll see Megan. And Megan's only been there for how long?
I have been there for about 6 months now. Happy year.
Okay, fair enough. And where are you from?
Connecticut.
You're from
Connecticut. And then like whole family is from like Long Island and Brooklyn.
Okay, so you're kind of from the area and all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough business, isn't it?
It is a tough business. And you know, I mean, I'm sure you felt this in Binghamton. I've like listened to some of what you said about like just your time there and stuff. The small markets are super tough. You're kind of working with not as many people.
Yeah.
It's the management that I was under was a bit more difficult to cope with. And
sure.
You know, in the end, of course, you're like, what a great experience. You couldn't have had that type of experience if you were in New York City. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So you got to do it.
You learn how to do everything.
Sure.
And
of course, yeah.
And I say you learn how to make mistakes in the small markets.
And that, oh, trust me.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'm still making mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, you've met Lance, so.
My parents made a mistake.
Yeah,
That was Jenna's point.
It's great though, and people complain about being in a small market, but that's where you learn how to do the job.
Sure, and you know, it was super valuable because it was such a small market. We had like a beat system, so everyone has a specific topic that they did. I was Native American, and my main story that I became really close with one of the reservations down there, Standing Rock, which is like the smallest little reservation. It's not really that small, but the section that we covered in North Dakota was small, but it ended up, I broke that pipeline story, the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Wow.
Got me out of North Dakota, but you know, it was so valuable. And then I was able to cover a lot on Two-Spirit Native Americans. In my free time there, I was like, I'm making a documentary on Two-Spirit, which is like Native Americans who identify as LGBTQ. So basically when the Supreme Court said, hey, gay marriage is allowed, it's like not for all the people on sovereign nations on like tribal land. They didn't get married, yet gay people, transgender people, the idea that you were Two-Spirit means that you just defy gender norms. Those people have been like totally accepted and brought into their society for like millennia before Europeans came here.
Wow.
But yet now it's kind of reversed. So I dug into that.
We wouldn't have known about that if it wasn't for you.
Exactly, and it was like it's so fulfilling in that sense that you have the time, you have the effort, and like my management was like, we're not going to pay you for it, but I'm like, I'll do it on weekends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have to.
Exactly.
Because that's what separates the people that are going to make it from the people that won't. The people that are going to go the extra step. That's what I did. I came out on the weekends and I was just putting pieces together so I was able to sort of get more experience.
For sure.
I broke nothing in Binghamton. Like, I never broke a story ever. I don't think ever in my life did I ever break a story. I'm always like the third or fourth person to get to the story.
You're
I'm like,
like,
oh, you guys
yeah.
are there, just tell me who I'm supposed to speak to. That's awesome. Makes
But
me
not
happy.
that I'm gonna make this like the compliment fest, but
Make
like
it.
you, Steph, like the way that you write, I feel like a lot of times that can trump the way that if you bring something first. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
No,
very
for real.
much.
You know, like the idea that you can get some type of funny little notion into a story is like incredibly remarkable. Like, so look up to that.
Thank you.
Study that writing because
Oh.
I like, you know what I mean? That's
So
what
it's
I would
funny.
love to-
That's what you do when you're in the smaller markets. You look at the way network correspondents and whatnot do things, and you try to figure out what works and what doesn't work and how they do it, and then you try to sort of seep that into your daily work routine. But speaking of Steph, you and Steph crossed paths. Is that why we even?
I know, right? It's so funny. So I interned at MSNBC, like my freshman to sophomore summer, then again like my senior semester. And when I was there, I was like, I had known at this point my senior year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. You know, I'm gonna go do reporting wherever. And so I saw Steph like walking through the hallway, and my next door guy who was sitting next to me in the little intern booth, he was a PA, was like, you gotta do it. I'm like, I can't do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, get up my courage, and I was like, hi,
so
I'm
fun.
Megan, I'm an intern, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I would love if like you could just like give a little advice or like any tips that you have on reporting. I would like so love to hear it. And
This is to Stephanie, my Stephanie.
yeah,
And I own her.
if I saw you, I probably would have done the same thing.
Oh,
But yeah, so then finally, like, we ended up making it work, and she was like incredible. She like stayed with me for like an hour and a half one day, and just told me everything you need to know about the business and like how to get through it, how to navigate your way through it, and also like the writing aspect, the content. You know what I mean? Because the biggest thing she said, she goes, no matter where you are, she's like, do not let anybody write your own stories for you.
Yeah.
And
It's a bad habit, and it's easy. And then once you do it, people are gonna run away and do that for the rest. You let people
Right?
do that for the rest of your
And the other thing you think about is like, if writing is the thing that like got you this far, and you're just kind of tossing it over to someone else, like someone who is a better writer can like come steal your spot. Like,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Absolutely.
So
I'm
appreciated
so
that.
happy that she gave you the time.
I know.
So happy.
And then even like after that, it was like you have these reels that you have to send to market. So it's like a bunch of compilation of like all these clips that you do on air. And so I was like, would you mind giving me advice? Was very detail oriented in terms of like giving me advice and
Yeah.
tips and like feedback, and it was like perfect. And she like helped me get the job in Bismarck, and then helped me a little bit get with my reel kind of early in the applying process to this Cincinnati job.
That's awesome.
I know. I don't. She probably doesn't remember me, but like.
No, she does. I went home that night and I asked her, and she does. It made me feel great. We had someone actually write into the show who you apparently spent some time with, and she completely remembered it.
That's
It
so
was,
funny.
It was very cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Actually, yeah, one second. Cherry, I can see your comments. John and Darren are having problems posting. I don't know. I didn't see anything. They're just.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so now you are 6 months into your job. What do you think of Cincinnati? All I hear about is how awesome Ohio is. What do you think of Ohio?
You know what? I actually gotta say, you are correct in that. I love Cincinnati.
Really?
I didn't think I don't really know anyone there. But I was like, I mean, granted, I'm coming from North Dakota, where it's a great place for a lot of people. It just like I didn't have many close friends there. But it's a little bit more of an open environment in Cincinnati.
Uh-huh.
It's a bigger city, so
Sure.
it's a lot better for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's heavier lifting. Like you're gonna do some more real stories.
And that's the other thing. I cannot even imagine what it was like at the network level, because you realize when you go to these jumps in bigger markets, you're like, okay, this is not just like, it's a different thing. You have to do more on the anchor desk, but like the pressure that like your news director or your management puts on you, it is like a lot. Like ratings matter, you know, like certain things. And I'm like, whew. Like, and sometimes it's like you can't control the things that aren't good about it. Like, it's like, I don't know.
So I'll just say, as someone who did the small markets and then did New York City, where I mean it's as big as it gets as far as local affiliates, and then anchored and hosted the Today Show, like it's you kind of have to you have to take, it's the same job.
Sure.
Right? So it has to be the exact same job when you're at the network as it is when you are in Bismarck. It has to be the exact same job when you're covering a story in New York City as it is when you're covering a story in Cincinnati. So you're going to approach it the same way, you're going to ask the same questions, you're going to, you know, you're gonna report on it the exact same way that you would.
Yeah.
Because it's still just one camera
right.
that you're looking through.
It's so true.
So just don't screw up.
It's like way higher stakes.
Oh yeah, the stakes are a little bit higher, but yeah. But I did my share of screwing up. Remember when I called that Dr. Jenna?
Yeah.
I felt like I did that every week.
I
had to.
Actually, you remember when? No, I didn't screw up on it.
You screw up all the time, but this is small potatoes compared to that. Now, in the Today Show's first year, they were small potatoes. So we're just sort of
We're screwing up when you screw up, it's fertilizer.
Warmly embrace the screw.
I've never heard that saying before, but it sounds great.
Right? Yeah, it's fertilizer is screw up.
Yeah, absolutely. So how was your trip to New York?
So this has been amazing so far. You know, I come back here every chance I can. I have my best friend here, and so I stay with him and then visit my family for a couple days up in Connecticut, which they always appreciate.
Good.
But they know that like this is my heart and my soul. Like one of these days, I love Cincinnati. I love all these places that I've got to go, but like
Want to come home?
Want to come home and like to New York.
Of course. No, and I completely get
Yeah,
that.
actually, get this. This is so funny. So my grandma's from New York. This is like a story from yesterday. My sister and I. We went out because my grandma just moved back home. She's 92. So she was like, okay, I used to live in Williamsburg. And we're like, you know, where did you grow up? Like, just give us the address. She like kind of remembered the address. So me and my sister were like, I don't even know if this is a real address. I just went out and tried to find it. And it looked like an abandoned building, all graffitied up. And then this was like super cool. So we kind of took pictures of the building we were about to send, and a guy walked out. And he was like, we're like, hey, do you live here? He was like, no, these are artist spaces for musicians to like practice. And I'm like, I can't wait to go tell my grandma. She didn't answer the phone yesterday. She doesn't know how to answer the phone.
Of course.
But she was like, but like how cool that like her home in Williamsburg, Brooklyn is now being used to like promote art in this city.
Isn't that awesome?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the place has really changed.
I know.
And continues to change.
I love it. I love it.
It's a great city. I have a lot of fun here. And if you navigate it the right way, which is not
We took the show to Williamsburg a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
we went to when Jenna wasn't here one day, we actually took a road trip to Williamsburg. We went over the Williamsburg Bridge,
we do a lot of walking around with the show. It's evolving, so we're sort of figuring it out. But the way Megan came about was she just wrote it.
I wrote it like what
like literally made a comment, and
know.
we answered a couple questions, and now she's sitting here, and that's sort of like that organic feel to the show, and that's sort of what
This is from Matt King, actually.
Yeah.
He's actually going Cincy, Tucky, good town, very different Ohio than say Cleveland. It's more intensity of scrutiny of screw-ups. And in New York City, you have to do a little boxing out sometimes to get a story that you don't in smaller markets.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, sure.
So you can get something that you really like pushed through.
For sure.
Whereas
And there's
here,
been some crazy stuff that's happened too.
already in Cincinnati.
Like randomly a roof fell on kids walking on the sidewalk when they were on a field trip.
Yeah.
And a chaperone is still in the hospital. Like just like horrible stuff, like just random stuff. But
Right.
huge heroin epidemic there, you know.
Oh, in Cincinnati, we
yeah.
have been covering that too.
Yeah.
We've been watching that. But for people that don't understand, you basically just move to a brand new city, you don't know a soul, you walk into a television station and they're like, you probably don't shoot, you have a cameraman. Here's a cameraman, here's your story, you're your own producer, like go out and cover the story.
Sure. And the weird thing about like these local TV stations is that they're kind of in a tizzy because they're like not sure how to do that, like how to get online viewership, and no one knows the route. I don't think anyone has found like the golden key yet.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, taking it day by day and not sure. This is brilliant, you know. To me, I'm like, this seems like what it should be the next step. It seems like the logical next step, but it's just not caught up. I think right now we're all in the media, in the television media, trying to figure out how to make it go online. You know?
Now, do they encourage you guys to like live stream your information or to post it or tweet about it and all of it?
Yeah, it's a lot more streamlined. When I was in North Dakota, it was a smaller market, so they were like, you know, live stream as much as you want, like go on Facebook. But then, you know, now that I'm at this market, they're like, we don't want to infiltrate your feed at like every 5 minutes with KFYR is live or WLWT is live. So it's
the way
a lot more
Lance does to my
streamlined.
poor Facebook feed.
But
been like
for
devastated.
Like little
Sorry.
breaking news things, or for just like a tease of a story,
Right.
it's not worth it, you
Right.
know? For a whole show,
For a whole show.
it makes sense.
Very well, could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same idea that we had, was we were like, this is the wave of the future, this is how people are going to sort of watch their
For
news,
sure.
and this is how they're going to get their information. So let's sort of try to jump out ahead and do
Yeah.
it first, if possible.
I like it. I love it. I don't know anyone else who's doing something like this. You
Is
know?
anyone, I don't know how many people are
Like
doing
this?
Like this, no.
No.
Very few people think of the world in more than one phone. It's actually broadcast. The broadcasting is one to many. So everybody sort of comes to this platform, or this platform and other platforms similar to this. They come to it with a one to many,
Right.
as opposed to a many to many
Yeah.
approach.
Interesting.
And so our whole approach, like with the following and everything, is basically many to many, because the listening is as important as the talking. But most people in the broadcast business are in the talking business, not in the listening.
And then the third element would be engagement, which is like, if you guys have questions for Megan, jump in and ask a question of what it's like to be a reporter. And I was in your position. I interned
I
at
know.
Emoze.
I'm curious to hear just a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, like I did the same thing you did. I nervously walked up to Matt Lauer and was like, hey.
I dreamed about you last night.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Lance, good to see you
Dude,
over there.
what's up?
How are you?
I'm good.
Guys were like he was like, hi, and I was like, good. What's up?
Good to see you, man.
Over here, I think I like the way you look over here better, because you have some of the background light.
Can I take it behind you guys on this cam too?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move this. This is what I did the handstand on.
I was just going to ask you about it.
Like, try that.
I've
No,
seen
please don't.
what
My
happens.
insurance is not good.
It was a good attempt.
We tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come in.
Yeah, don't worry about me.
I don't.
It's fine. All right. Good to